Hi, thanks very much for joining me. I'm Dean, this is Woodwork Journey, and this is a fail video, but hopefully it will lay the foundation for something a little bit more exciting. So it'll still be something that's worth watching, hopefully, because I think I've got some sort of tips and tricks going on through here that you might find useful. But this build is actually for sort of a very specific reason. However, it can also be very easily adapted to something completely different. Now, this can be a light, and if you want to see me make this properly without the cock-ups and into a light, then please do let me know. But for this instance, I had an old Benro Aero 2 tripod which I broke pretty as soon as I got it, but you could take a leg off to make it a monopod, which is great. However, it doesn't have any feet, and because I'm shooting on mobile these days, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make feet so it can sort of stand up by itself, and it's a nice light system that's going on top rather than my mirrorless camera. So the plan was to simply make a structure that was going to give feet onto the end of this one. It didn't work out, and you'll see why, but this is now 2 days after I filmed that first bit, and the frustration was real. Anyway, let's see what's going on here, and I'll catch you up right at the end. But I need to make an equilateral triangle, so a triangle where all of the sides are the same. So that is a 15 centimetre line right there. So that's just under 6 inches for those of you on Imperial. Now then, what I need to do is make that an equilateral triangle. And the way we're going to do that is by using my far too excessive compass that I made. And we're going to get this the same length as that line, which is about there. So we'll just do that to make sure. Yeah. Right, now we go up to the top, do a little line there. Then we go to this side, do a little line there. And now we can connect up the two areas, and they should have 15 centimetre lines either side, or all three sides rather. Now the angle for this will be 60 degrees because it's 60, 60, 60. And there we go. So that is our equilateral triangle. I'm going to try and flip this so it's the right way up, but we'll see how that goes when we get down to it. Right. So 15 centimetres there, 15 centimetres there. Everyone's a winner. Now then, what we need to do is figure out the centre of that circle. So in order to find the centre of that circle, what we need to do is do a 7.5 little spot there. One there. One there. And then we need to take this to its opposite corner. So we do that one. That one. And that one. So what we've got now is pretty much the centerpiece of that line. Now I've lost my small compasses, so I've got this one at the moment, and that's because this is my tie wrap compass. And I have measured these out, and I'll show you what we're talking about in a moment. But I'm going to put a point in the tie wrap and put that in the middle piece of my triangle, and then we're going to make the lead nice and long in the pencil. Got to move myself around here. And there we go. That should be now fairly central in this whole thing. It's weird because when you look at it like that, it looks like, you know, that is much, much longer than that. But if I twist that around like that, then it's a strange little visual mess up thing. But that is going to be our equilateral triangle. Now then, at this point, if I measure out, I'm going to need to, you'll see where I'm going in a second, but I'm going to need to make this having a couple of flats. So I'm going to cut this to 5 centimeters and 5 centimeters, and then I'm going to connect those two lines up like so. Okay, so now we connect those up, and what we've got now are 3 more equilateral triangles. It's given us this section in the middle. Let me try and get that a little bit stronger so you can see what I'm talking about. Alrighty, now whether that's perfect or not, I don't really care, to be honest, because it'll do the trick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to then cut a section out of each of these. So it's going to be kind of like that. It might go deeper. We'll see how we get on later down the line. But yeah, we're going to have sections cut out of each of those 3 areas. Now there will be a bar or a bolt or something that goes through here, and these sections will bolt onto the legs. And what we want to end up with is something that looks a little bit like a tripod. So we've got the top section going on right there, then we'll have a leg that comes down, another leg that comes down, and then there'll be another leg in the middle. Okay, so that's what we'll do, but the hole in the middle will allow me to put my tripod all the way through it. Now this is what I was saying about a light, because we could in essence put a light fitting in here and then run a wire down there to a switch, and we could make this look nice. Rather than using like a dodgy old bolt in here or something, we could use brass or something like that to make it look more attractive. So we could do a bunch of things with that if we so wanted to. But yeah, like I say, let me know if you want to see more of that later on down the line. But as it is, let's try and transfer this to a piece of wood, and we'll see if we can cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to want this to go, I'm not entirely sure if I want it to go on the very smallest one at the bottom, because that's quite thin, or I'm going to go for the next one up. But we can always make things bigger, we can't always make things smaller. So we'll start with this one, and then if we have to make a bigger hole, then so be it. But I'm going to use my verniers just to get an idea of how big a hole I need to do in that one. So that's going to be 17. However, just because that's 17, these sections here are a little bit larger, so I don't think this can come off. In fact, let me just get some pliers out to double check on that one. Now I do know I can take this little knobbly bit off, but there's just a split ring there, so I'm probably going to do that because that is somewhat wider than the little sort of spacer that's below it. So yeah, I'm just going to get this split ring off. We'll take this off, and then we'll measure the outside of this. Okay, so that's got that little split ring off. So now we can take off this whole section here, and so now the hole has just got to get past this piece right here, which is about 21 millimeters. So what I've done here is this would flip out quite easily. So I've put this inside a clamp and then put the clamp inside the vise, and then hopefully that's not going to go anywhere now. Alrighty, so that's that hole drilled in there. Let's have a look and see how it fits, shall we? I'm making a horrible mess already. Now this bit, by the way, I got this bit off Amazon. I can't remember the name of it. Armeg, I think ARMEG is the company that make them. I made the dog holes in my bench with this, and it's a beast of a drill bit. It really is. Not sponsored or anything, just letting you know how I've gotten on with it. Right. Let's see how this goes. Is that going to go over? No, just going to get a little bit of rasp action going on here just to make that a little bit wider inside there. Okay, let's see if that fits over there now, and it does brilliantly. Here's the plan that I'm going to go with. This is what we've got so far, and you might be able to see on camera that this hole is a little bit closer to this edge than this edge. So this is the area that I'm going to put the screw in, or the bolt in. Now what I'm going to do is I've got one of these MH jobbies that's going to go in there, and then I'm going to use this to screw or to bolt all the way in, and then that's going to lock in place on the tripod. That's the theory, at least. So yeah, let's have a go. This is going to need an 8mm hole, and this is going to need a 10mm. So let's crack on with those. Alrighty, so that's got that there. This worked really well once I turned it on. Turning dust collection on before you start does usually help just a bit. Now then, we're going to have to make this hole a little bit larger so we can get this puppy in there. Okie dokie, so that's that hole in there. Let's see if this will screw in without destroying the whole thing, shall we? Right, so I've learned from the last time, and I am cutting the hole before I do anything else. So yeah, I've marked it all out. Let's cut that hole and then we'll get it all cut to shape. Okay, this time I'm going to use the 8mm one rather than this big old bugger here. So just going down the size, hopefully that'll give us a little bit more structural stability than what we had before. So we're going to go with an 8mm bit to start with, and then we're going to go down to a 6mm bit because it's an M6 thingamajiggy. This time it's not quite so off center, so I can pretty much pick any size I like. I think I'll go with that one. Let's keep our fingers crossed on this one, shall we? Oh, we are in. Let's try this one. This is another one of my little knobs that I make, and this one's got wood shavings in this one, in a sort of a yellowy kind of thing. Anyway, let's see if that's, yeah, that should be long enough. And as you can see, that's going through just fine. So this now should lock onto the tripod fine and dandy. And it does. That fits on there just fine, hopefully. Now it does. There is a little bit of a flat on the tripod around here, which is what I'm trying to get the bolt to go into. But yeah, it doesn't sit perfectly straight. But we will have to see if that's a problem when it comes to sorting out the legs. So the next thing is getting 3 legs that are going to come out of here, and I'll figure out the size of those in a second. Do you know what? I did draw all of these lines on here by eye, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my ruler because, you know, why not? It's pretty much the right kind of size. So we'll start with this and see where we go. Okay, let's see about getting those cut out. Boom, that's that cut out of the with the bandsaw. So now all I've got to do is just tidy these up. I'll give these a little bit of a filing just to tidy them up, and yeah. Now the great thing is about using the ruler, because I've got some space there still, is I can just cut around the ruler or put a line around the ruler onto a bit of wood, and that'll give me the exact width I need for the legs. We'll have this up against the side there. Some of that action. There we go, bosh, 3 legs. Alright, so when we've got our little centerpiece there, we can make sure that the legs fit in there, which they do. Fits in all of those, nice and fine and dandy. So what I'm going to need to do now is round over the tops of those. But we'll see about drilling a hole in those in a little while. But yeah, let's just round over the top so we can actually flip them. So the reason for sort of bending these over, if you like, or sanding them into a curve, is so when they're in this situation, they can pivot inside there. Because don't forget, we're going to be putting something all the way through there. They're going to be able to pivot and stay in place. Whereas if they're hard corners, they can't pivot. So yeah, pivot. Alrighty, so some of you may remember this little puppy that I did some time ago. So we're going to zero that out at 7, or 0, sorry. And then we're looking at around about getting, oh, there was a little bit of movement there. 0, 0, close enough. We've got 0.4, 0.3 there. Now we're looking at about 30 degrees there. That is fairly bang on. So that 30 degrees means that we can put our little chappy going on right there. Nope. Where are we? Like that. And as long as we have this section flat, then that should, in theory, drill straight down and allow us a hole that goes straight through there. Bosh, like that, which you can't see. Like that. That's what we're hoping to achieve. So we've got a hole that goes all the way through that we can put a bolt through, and away we go. So yeah, I'll see how I get on. Oh, I think that's going to work. I think it's going to work. So that's it. That is the idea, in as much as I've just got to tidy this up a little bit more, take a little tiny bit more off of this puppy, and then I'll be able to rotate it nice and easily. But yeah, all in all, that's how it's going to work. So we're going to have that there and the 2 legs there and there. So, you know, that's how we're going to go for it. So let me do some tidying up. So yeah, that is what we ended up with. This is still a couple of days after I've done it, and basically it's just mangled. What I've come to the conclusion that I think this wood is Meranti, and I'm fairly confident it's just far too brittle for this kind of job. Also, I could have made it a bit thicker. Another thing that I've learned is, rather than having these as cutouts, I should have had these pieces kind of like sticking out in the middle and then cut back at the corners. That way this could go over the top of them, and when you pull the bolt in, it would actually pull the 2 edges to lock them in place. Does that make any sense? So yeah, that's where I messed up on that one. But yeah, let's go back up top. So yeah, that was pretty devastating, to be fair, after working sort of for a fair amount of time building 2 of them, getting quite excited about this one because I thought it was going to work, and then it just falling apart. I wasn't a happy camper, to be fair. But, you know, I mean, the principle was sound, but like I said, I think we needed to do something a little bit different with the planning. I've got 2 ideas for how to do this differently next time. One is to change the shape of this top piece, like I was just talking about, with the sort of inner and outer bits, and the other one is to go for a much simpler design with pieces of wood kind of in this orientation, with like sort of crossovers and half laps and all this sort of nonsense. So yeah, there is a plan going on there, which I will record next, because I'm not going to let this beat me, because it is going to be a thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing me royally cock up. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and come back next time, where hopefully we'll be doing things properly. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.